To fill key gaps and stay competitive, Ohio State must aggressively attack the transfer portal.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Feel Good Friday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, because you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Simply visit FanDuel.com to get started. During today's show, we'll discuss Urban Meyer's statement on returning to coaching, as well as positions the Buckeyes must pursue in the portal. But before we get to any of that, we first got to figure out the Buckeyes' mindset. How should they approach the portal? And it's one way and one way only. They must aggressively attack the transfer portal to fill key gaps and to fill key roles, because we already know that Josh Simmons is going to the NFL. I highly anticipate other guys that could return next year will go to the NFL. Plus, you got a lot of seniors, a lot of guys that have been there 4 or 5 years that are going to the NFL. There are going to be key spots that are open. You also can use the portal to add depth at key positions or any position in general. You just got to go out there and do it. And a year ago, Ryan Day didn't so much change his philosophy with the portal. He just went out there and filled key roles and went to key positions, the key spots. And I think Ryan Day's been on the edge of doing that lately, but he finally went over the hill a year ago, got Will Howard. He got Caleb Downs. He got Seth McLaughlin. He got Julian Sand. Now, those last 3 guys I just mentioned, they wouldn't normally be available in any random year. Saban retires. Guys down there in Tuscaloosa can go to the portal. Those 3 go in, and now Ohio State has got some key guys at key positions during this year's season. But think about how Ohio State should go this year. And now we know that Ohio State has upped the ante as far as financially in the NIL space. So that's another reason why the Buckeyes can't play around right now. Ohio State, Ryan Day, nobody can play around with, well, it's a portal, we can use it, or maybe we don't need to. No, you must use the portal, because there could be a guy in the portal that if you do everything correctly, he may transfer to your school, and all of a sudden he instantly boosts. Maybe it's the O-line. Maybe it's a D-line. Maybe it becomes a bidding war, and we all know how that goes in college football. Some players are going to the highest bidder. That's just the way things are right now. Trust me, it doesn't sit well with me that that's where we are, but it's the reality. If Ohio State takes this aggressive approach with the portal, we're going to be in a spot where we're looking at a team that is saying, we know we had last year. We know we were able to get out of the portal. We saw how it was a major benefit to the team to have Seth McLaughlin, to have Will Howard, to have Caleb Downs, to have Quinshaw Judkins, to have Will Kazmarek, to have these guys at key positions, and to be able to go to the portal to get them. That's great. But now you're going to get to another season that's very, very pivotal. I don't want to be the guy that's picking a scab, but the reality of the situation is Ohio State's trying to snap a 4-game losing streak to Michigan. And one of the best ways to do that to make your roster even better is to go get quality players from the portal. For me, it's not so much the quantity, 20, 25, 30, 45 guys. No, you're not looking to overhaul your team by going to the transfer portal. What you can do is go in there and get quality players. So if Ohio State at the end of the day gets 10 to 12 quality players and don't try to just say, oh, we're using a portal and we're getting 20 to 25 guys, but the guys are getting a quality, that's a good way to go into next season, go into the offseason, winter workout, spring practice, and saying, we're using the portal to get the most quality, to add the most quality to our team. And that's huge. Now, a year ago, we all saw how Derek Harmon played when he was in Eugene, Oregon, earlier this year playing Ohio State. Ohio State tried to get Derek Harmon. And at the time, I was thinking, yeah, go out there and get him. You're the match. No, Oregon got him. So you're going to win some. You're going to lose some. Also, one of his teammates, Mateo Uiagalelei, a guy that Ohio State I thought was in a great position to land in the recruiting cycle. All of a sudden, he commits to Oregon. Mateo, I believe, leads the Big Ten in sacks. Derek Harmon, a big player for that Ducks defense. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some. But if the Buckeyes were able to land a Derek Harmon, that's a quality player. If the Buckeyes are able to land Mateo in the high school recruiting cycle, that's a quality player. And that's what you're looking for. And so for people out here saying, Jay saying aggressive to try to say, go out there and get the numbers, no, absolutely not. Because I can look at Ohio State's roster and depth chart and say, down every single position, Will Howard's gone. There are still high-quality players in that room. Henderson's gone. Quinshawn Judkins might leave. There are still high-quality players in that room. You're losing Emeka Egbuka. There are still high-quality players in that room. You're losing Josh Simmons. You're losing Josh Fryer. In the offensive line room, which O-line recruiting is at a premium right now, there are still going to be high-quality players in that room. Now, how do they develop in the offseason? That's something to go into it as well. Also, if you bring in 3 or 4 offensive linemen, I'm going to get to some more thoughts about that 3 or 4 number here in a second. All of a sudden, that's not you saying that they're definitely going to start. That might be adding competition for an Ian Moore, for a Luke Montgomery, for an Austin Saraveld, for a Carson Hinzman to say, we know what you guys have done so far. We see how you have developed, but we believe these guys can come in here and play. And some of those guys in that room, they're going to say more competition. Cool, I'm gone. But there are going to be some guys at Ohio State that see those guys come in and say, we're having a competition now? You're going to come in here, be a part of our brotherhood, but also compete to play in my spot? Absolutely not. And the next thing you know, you're going to get guys that are going out there and they're going to play out of their minds to get on the field. There's nothing wrong with bringing guys in and thinking they're going to start. But then over the course of the summer, leading into the fall, you figure out the guy you brought in to be a starter didn't win the job because a guy who you got in the high school ranks or someone who was there previously said, he is not going to take my spot. He is not going to take my role. And that's what you want. When you have a culture of competition inside the clubhouse, but also at brotherhood as well, everybody's going to work and to do their best to push each other to be the best team, but also you're pushing yourself to get on the field, to be better. If it's the O-line, we're going to talk a lot about the O-line today. If you have not figured that out, trust me, O-line, recruiting, high school side, on the transfer portal side, that must be Ryan Day's main focus when it comes to high school recruiting and the guys in the portal when it opens up on Monday. It's not open yet. You're going to see guys at Ohio State say they plan on entering the portal. As of the last time we talked about the portal, Kojo Antwi is expected to enter the portal on Monday. Now, can they still be a part of Ohio State? So a playoff run, playoff push, while also being in the portal? I don't know. That's one of those weird rules. But also, if Ohio State plays in January, you might want to go to that school in January that you're going to play on next year, and you got to be enrolled in that school. And I don't believe you can be enrolled at another school and play at Ohio State. So these are things to think about. Kojo Antwi, been a special teams guy. Buckeyes may or may not have him in the playoffs. Jaden Ballard hasn't really played much this year, especially on special teams. So will that limited role that he had, will he still be there? I don't know. Gabe Powers plans to go to the NFL, not yet. Plans to go to the portal. Well, he's been a mainstay, a starter on special teams. Will the Buckeyes lose him in the playoff? I have no idea. Once again, the calendar in college football is broken. It's stupid. That's where we are. We're also in a spot for Ohio State to be aggressive in the portal, to snag quality players to fill key spots, to fill gaps. And I believe Ryan Day has that mindset because it worked last year. I think it'll work again. Once again, y'all see the symbol on my hat for those of y'all watching the YouTube. The Block O sometimes sells itself, but also you have to sell your culture, sell your program, sell all of the other things. But you get respect when you walk anywhere and the Block O is on your chest or on the hat on your head. Also, some things that are at the forefront of Ohio State's mind while being aggressive in the portal is attacking certain positions that to fill gaps and to fill holes on the roster. And there are numerous positions I believe Ohio State must pursue in the portal when it opens next week. This episode is brought to you by Mint Mobile. I love a great deal as much as the next guy, but I'm not going to crawl through a bed of hot coals just to save a few bucks. It has to be easy. No hoops, No BS. So when Mint Mobile said it was easy to get wireless for $15 a month with the purchase of a 3-month plan, I called them on it. Turns out, it really is that easy to get wireless for $15 a month. The longest part of the process was the time I spent on hold waiting to break up with my old provider. To get started, go to mintmobile.com/lockedoncollege. There you'll see that right now all 3-month plans are only $15 a month, including the unlimited plan. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/lockedoncollege. That's mintmobile.com/lockedoncollege. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/lockedoncollege. $45 upfront payment required. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. Thank you all for tapping in Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. Now, there are certain positions while Ohio State's trying to be aggressive in the portal that the Buckeyes must pursue. And it's not just one, it's not just two. And some of these are to get starters, some of these are for depth, but there are a list of positions Ohio State must pursue to be an overall better roster heading into 2025, to pursue snapping losing streak to Michigan, getting back and winning the Big Ten championship, and win the national championship, because those are the 3 goals Ohio State has every year under Ryan Day. I got a list here. I'm going to go through the list, and you'll see why these positions are on the list here in a second. Quarterback, running back, left tackle, left guard, right tackle, 2 pass rushers, a defensive tackle, a strong safety, a kicker, and a punter. Now, you may say, Jay, why in the world you got that list so long? You know that Julian Sand might start next year. That might be true. But outside, once Will Howard is gone, nobody in that room that's currently there, and let's just say all the other guys will be there next year, nobody has experience playing. Nobody has the ability to say they are a 5 or 6 or 7 or full-year starter. Nobody does. So do you truly want to roll into a season with a fully inexperienced room and say, well, we're going to roll in here with you? No matter how much trust you have with those guys, that's not good enough. That shouldn't be good enough. And I'm not saying Julian Sand won't start. I think Julian Sand is going to be a really good quarterback. But he also needs somebody to help him lead, man. He also needs somebody to lean on. You can go in the portal. Maybe get a Tristan Gebbia, someone who was a multi-game starter at a previous school. Then all of a sudden you're saying he wants to go somewhere to try to win a national championship, knowing he might not be the starter. Cool. Come to Ohio State. Help lead. Help this young man get his feet under him. Cool. I'm not saying Sand is going to start or Sand won't start. All I'm saying is in that room, you want some depth. At running back, let's just say hypothetically, Henderson can't come back. He's gone. Juckins can come back. Let's just say he does go. You have no experience in that room either. James Peoples, Sam Williams-Dixon. You also have Bo Jackson, Isaiah West, Turbo Rogers, and there was the walk-up running back who name escapes me, who was out for the entire year. No experience in that room either. Now, that's a talented room. And I think it's going to be easier for a running back that's inexperienced to get on the field and to be a very good guy than it is for a quarterback. But also, inexperienced running backs generally aren't the best guys in pass pro. And so if I'm a James Peoples or if I'm a Sam Williams-Dixon, we got the most experience. Williams-Dixon, not much. Peoples, a little bit more. But, man, pass pro is a little bit different, man. We see Henderson, his 4th year was his best year as a pass blocker. Quinshon Judkins, phenomenal pass blocker. They are both multi-year starters. And you see how long it takes guys to get used to that. On the offensive line, you can't miss. If the Buckeyes go out there and get 5 guys in the portal on the O-line, I wouldn't be mad if you want to say just all 5 guys in general. But truly, you have to go out there. Let's up the ante. 2 starters, a starting left tackle and a starting right tackle. Go in the portal and get them. A left guard, right guard. I am not sold on Tucker Chabot starting next year. Absolutely not. Austin Sarabelt, I think I am. But I also think more competition needs to happen at the 2 guard spots. The only guy that I think right now has a solidified spot to start next year is Carson Hinsman. Put him back there at center. Or if you want to get another center, you want to put him at guard, cool. Whichever way you want to do it, I think Hinsman has a spot as a starter no matter what. Cerevel can start. Shabola can start. I got to see more from them. If you can go in the portal and get somebody that can fill that need instantly as a starter, go do it. And I don't care if anybody's feathers get ruffled. I don't care if somebody's feelings get hurt. I don't really care, man. I'm not here in the business of Ohio State and trying to be an analyst that says, well, don't hurt nobody's feelings. That's not my jam. And it shouldn't be yours either. Breed a culture of competition. Breed a culture of realizing your feelings might get hurt if you're not getting the job done. And what we saw right now from Shapola and Cerevel, at times they did get the job done. At times they did not. I think Cerevel got it done a few more times than Shabola, but Shabola also played a whole lot more, so he had a bigger sample size. You got to go out there and do it, man. 2 pass rushers. I'm a big Caden Curry guy. And I think Caden Curry has a spot on this team next year. I think he's going to be a starter. That does not mean that he is the elite pass rusher already based off what we have seen. Now, maybe next year when he gets on the field consistently, you might see Caden Curry go out there and just look as that elite pass rusher. But also Ohio State might move to a 3-down lineman instead of 4-down lineman. Well, that opens up things to do the Will Anderson types that Alabama had, or a Jared Verse, whatever it might be. You might be able to go out there and get a guy that's a true pass rusher. And y'all know what I mean when I say a true pass rusher. Some guys do it with the hand in the dirt, Chase Young, the Bosa's. Some guys do it better in a 2-point stance, whichever it might be. Go out there and get 2 of them. If they both start, great. I don't really care. Just get 2 guys, bring them in, but make sure they're guys that can play now. Absolutely now. You might have a Vic Cutler and you might miss on a guy. That might happen. It's okay. But also what might happen is Ohio State might go out there and be a little bit more aggressive and get the guys that you want. D-tackle, I love Cade McDonald. I think Hero Canoe can be really good next year. I like Edric Houston. D-tackle depth has been a concern at Ohio State for the past few years. Go out there and get a guy in the portal. And let's just say he is a guy that starts along on a 4-down set with Cade McDonald. Cool. Let's say you go and do a 3-down set and you get a 320 or 335 nose tackle. Cool. If it's 320 pounds or if it's 335 pounds, whatever it is, that's fine. But get a guy that can play. Now, for strong safety, I don't think that it's more of a starting thing. I think there are guys in the safety room that can start a strong safety next year for Ohio State. I think the issue for strong safety is safety depth has been a concern. There's a lot of inexperience in that room, a lot of talent in the room, but guys that haven't really played a lot. Caleb Downs, I believe, is staying at Ohio State next year. I understand there was a lot of frustration about Caleb Downs after that loss to Michigan, as it should be, with him laying it out, doing everything he did, led the team in tackles that day, which he normally doesn't do, but it was needed, and all of a sudden, frustration kind of boiled over for him. I'm not mad about it. I think that's what should happen, but he's going to have need a good running mate next year, and you can go in the portal and get that. Kicker and punter, I could add returner to this too. I think they got returners already on the teams. I don't really think you have to go out there and get a returner in the portal. But there's absolutely no reason why Ohio State should have struggles kicking or punting. None. This might sound a little crazy to people. It's Ohio State. There should be no reason why the Buckeyes have had the issues in the kicking department that they have had over the past few years. You should have one of the best punters in the country every single season. You should also have one of the kickers in the country every single season. No questions asked. Go out there and get your Rodrigo Blankenship. Go out there and get somebody from the MAC. I don't really care where you get them. Go get you somebody. Rex Specs, I don't care, man. Go get you a kicker to make them kicks. Make them kicks. That's their job. If you got to dump some money, okay. I don't like this. That's a part of college football, but it is. And you know what? You got to be aggressive and fill these positions in the portal. Now, one thing you won't do in the portal is go talk to Urban Meyer because that's not where he stays. But Urban Meyer did release a statement on returning to coaching, and we'll talk about that next. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, and it's all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Simply visit FanDuel.com to join today, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. All the action goes down in two places on the FanDuel Sportsbook app and at FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thank y'all for tapping in Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. Now, Urban Meyer has been the talk of the town of Columbus all week. The loss last week, Urban's comments on the triple option, the podcast is very, very popular right now. And then all of a sudden, there's been rumors circulating around message boards, circulating around various shows that Urban Meyer is considering coming back to coaching and he would love to come back to Ohio State. Now, I heard that for the first time on Tuesday at a basketball game from someone that used to work at Purdue, and he talked about Jay Crawford, and he saw it on a message board, and he was like, oh, interesting. I had never met this guy in my life. He just heard that I was an Ohio State fan, didn't know that I hosted this show, but he starts talking about Urban Meyer this, Urban Meyer that. You heard myself and Brian Smith yesterday talk about Urban Meyer returning to college football. Before I get to his statement, I don't think it's going to happen. I didn't yesterday. I don't see it. If he does, I think Ohio State would be the spot, maybe Notre Dame as well, because I know that's a big part of his heart, but I just don't see it happening. And based off what Urban Meyer said, it won't happen. I'm gonna read this whole entire statement verbatim so you can hear about Urban Meyer and his thoughts about returning to coach in college football. Quote, "It has come to my attention that there are reports speculating my return to the sidelines in Columbus. While I thoroughly enjoyed my 7 years as head coach at The Ohio State University, I have no interest in coaching again. I will always be a Buckeye and have full confidence in Ryan Day, his staff, and every player that puts on the scarlet and gray," end quote. You had it. There you go. There you have it. My words are my words. Brian thoughts. Brian has known Urban Meyer, talked to him years ago when he was just doing various things around recovering recruiting. No. Now, I don't know who started the rumor. I don't know who the person is that put this thing out there. Because whoever it is knows that Buckeye fans, a lot of them would love Urban Meyer to come back. A lot of them would love that Urban Meyer mindset to be inside the players. Some people don't like what could be classified as psychotic coaching from Urban, the mindset that he has. But when you listen to Urban talk, he sounds like somebody that gets it. And I think that's what Buckeye fans want more than some may say Urban no matter what. But some guys may just want a guy that gets it. And those fans are also the fans that believe that Ryan Day doesn't get it, which is why you want to go back to the person that was the last coach to get it. It was Urban Meyer. Before that, people just jumped Fickle in the 2011 year. That was the interim. No, that was his interim year coaching at Ohio State. Some go, well, we don't want Fickle. We want to go with Tressel. I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you at all. But that's what people have been saying. People have been texting me, Urban. Man, I miss Herbs and Tressel. These are texts I'm getting. Why? Because those two guys are Buckeye legends. While Ryan Day has done a lot of winning in the big games, especially the biggest game, he hasn't gotten it done. Now, I did something I don't normally do, and there was something on YouTube, and it was a compilation of the top 10 college football playoff games in the four-team format, as that is dead. And I went back and looked, and that Georgia game, even without that evil, I mean, you saw Georgia make plays down the stretch to win, but there were some plays that the defense didn't make. There were some plays that offensively the team didn't make. You're sitting here thinking, why? The Clemson game, another thing that circulated. Why were some of these things happening? I'm not putting it all on Ryan Day. I am putting some of it on the players. But ultimately, you got to look at the coach some of these times and saying, why is it that your guys don't get it done consistently? Or don't get it really, they get it done sometimes, but consistently in the biggest games, sometimes they don't get it done. And I think right now, Buckeye fans, I said it earlier, but I'll just go ahead and kind of expand on that a little bit before we close up shop. Every team in college football wants a guy that gets it. You want a football coach that just understands what it means to be there, what it means to win, the ability to exhaust all options to make sure your team does everything that it can do to win every single game. That's what fans want. That's what I want. That's what you want. You want a head football coach in Columbus that gets it. And while many people think that Ryan Day doesn't get it currently, that doesn't mean that he will never get it. And I don't believe that will ever be a thing about a lot of coaches saying, well, some coaches don't never get it. No, some guys will. It just takes time. And I think for Ryan Day right now, it just takes time. 6 years in the profession. And what are you finding? He is struggling. And I've said this numerous times. I've been hosting the show since 2020, and I've said this same very thing in various ways for over the past few years. Think about you the first year you've done something. Maybe it be you being a dad, or maybe you just got married, new job, whatever it may be. The first year you've done something, you're so excited, you're so fired up, you're so eager. One person said, "Man, you're just gun ho." I heard an old lady, a lady I used to go to church with a couple years ago. I was at an open house. She was talking about her new pastor, who I think was in his early 30s at the time, 30 or 31, very early 30s. She was like, "Man, he just gun ho, boy. Man, that man just gun ho." She looked at one of her girlfriends. "Ain't he gun ho?" I'm thinking, Mrs. Steele, you don't know me talk like this, but I understand. Just talking about a way for a person to be a little bit fired up. And you're just excited. Year 2 goes on. Year 3 goes on. You realize some of those struggles you had in year 1 they were due to inexperience. Year 2, year 3, you start to tap into your resources. You start to figure some things out. You start to really fine-tune your craft. Year 5, 6, 7, if you're able to do it that long, you're realizing, man, I'm almost there. So close. Oh, so close. I'm almost there. And sometimes you get it in year 3. Sometimes you don't get it until year 10. The totality of everything it takes to do your job. Because jobs expand, jobs evolve, things happen. And right now for Ryan Day in year 6, when Ohio State's only playing 13 at minimum games a year, you get 13 shots to get it right. 13 shots a year at minimum to get it right. Sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. But at the end of the day, you have to answer for the result. What was it? Undefeated until that Clemson game in 2019. Undefeated until the Bama game in 2020. 2021 was the Rose Bowl year. Had a loss. They had a couple losses. 2022, 2023, this year. Ryan Day has learned. I think giving up play calling took a lot, but also he gave it to somebody that he trusts. But also there's one thing that Urban Meyer did, but also Urban Meyer took him a long time to get to this point. Multiple stops along the way to realize sometimes we got to be proactive, more proactive than normal than to react to something that's going on. And while Ryan has done a lot of winning, sometimes in year 6, he is still being a little reactive and not proactive. Too many times we've heard in games, we got to go watch the film. When in the moment, you or I or those in the media press room after the game can sit here and say, we already know what happened. Now, I understand in the moment it's easier for Ryan Day to say, let's go watch the film before instead of giving a definitive answer right there. But sometimes you got to give that answer. Matt Painter, I love him as a basketball coach. He doesn't shy away from those moments of just expounding on things going on. But Matt Painter's also been doing this thing for a long time. Took him a long time to get to the Final Four. Ryan Day had a lot of success early in his career as a head coach. Great. Some people believe he doesn't get it. I don't think he fully gets it right now, but I also don't believe he'll never get it. I think Ryan Day, the head coach, Urban Meyer's not there. Cool. Urban Meyer trusts Ryan Day, supports Ryan Day. That's what Ryan Day needs right now. A guy, his predecessor, that believes in him. Cool. But also Ryan Day has to figure out how to get it in totality. Don't just talk about it. You got to be about it. And lately, Ryan Day's been doing a lot of talking, and the results haven't been there. Not the results that Ohio State wants. I think he'll get it one day. He just hasn't had it yet. Thank y'all for tapping on the Locked On Buckeyes here on this Feel Good Friday. We will be having a show coming out on Sunday afternoon, reacting to whoever Ohio State plays in the playoff. I believe they'll be in the playoff. If for some reason they are not, we gonna react to that too. That'd be a mistake on the committee's part for numerous reasons. But we'll react to that and still have our regular Monday pod discussing more Ohio State football and maybe some basketball, but definitely the transfer portal. You can follow me on Twitter at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. We're out of here on a Monday. No, excuse me, not Monday yet. On a Friday. We'll see you next time.